Bro, I sent you this video because big things coming, bro. Big things coming, bro. We're on the up. Stay focused, stay driven, because big things coming. Send this to bro for 700 years of good luck. Let's get it, bro. We on the up. We on the up. No one gets how hard we've been working, bro. Failure isn't an option for us, bro. Let's get it, bro. Lock in. Big money, big up. Big things are coming and they're coming fast. Big things coming, bro. Oh, there it is. Money. We on the up, bro. People don't even know how locked in we've been.
Oh, no, no, no.
Hey, what's going on, people? Glad to be back. So today we've got an AI stream queued up for you. We're going to talk about some different AI tools, some kind of research tips and tricks. But in order to do so, I wanted to collaborate and summon a friend of mine I had the opportunity to meet and speak more extensively with at the Pulse Chain Tour. He's got a great channel focused on some Richard Hart assets as well as AI tools and productivity. I highly suggest you give him a follow. So without further ado, let me pull him up on stage. Max, what's going on, brother?
Going good, man. Glad to actually have someone who wants to talk about AI and realize the potential and the edge it gives people, and that is very rare in the crypto space right now. So glad we have that in common.
Yeah, so I know we've had the opportunity to have a few conversations on and offline and in person. I think we're witnessing this longer arc of not just AI in the general population and tools and things of that variety, but certainly in the crypto space. And I think it's multi-phased in the crypto space, which is to say, okay, round one was, I'm just going to slap .ai or something on my token or whatever, label it, hype it, and just no real utility behind that.
Wow.
Yeah, that's just like nothing. It's effectively a meme coin, right? With AI somehow attached to it by label or narrative. Then it was going to turn into, which we saw somewhat, aspect of token gating, right? So you have to buy the token to be able to leverage some aspect of my little chat bot or the like. And now I think we're starting to see some of the early phases of more comprehensive integration with aspects of AI and LLMs and things of that variety, which is, aside from having it token gated, you'll start to see, I think, where it's really the currency of AI, not necessarily directly, like we're talking like AI on chain, and we'll get to some of those fine details there in a minute. But before we get too deep into the topic, I know there are a number of folks who will be tuning in both live and replay, coming to us from places like the Degen Roundtable, places like Cultivate Crypto or Dollar Cost Crypto's channels and some of those communities. So for people who are not familiar with you, Max, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of a little bit of your story? And obviously, we're at Pulse Chain Tour. I see you got some Richard Hart logos behind you. Give the people your story, my man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the abbreviated version is I started following Richard around 2017. Literally, somebody at a party was like, "Hey, there's a Bitcoin." It's a Bitcoin maxi guy who's should talk in Ethereum. I was like, really? Ethereum seems fine. This is when I first got into crypto. And that drew me to, I think they're like, oh, have you heard of Richard Hart and all this stuff? I'm like, no, I'll go take a look. So of course, found his live streams, found, his self-development stuff as well. Thought, hey, this is really, really smart guy. Oh, he's rich too. Oh, he's got he's doing all these things way before Hex. And then eventually I was like, okay, cool. I just started following Richard. My introduction to crypto was, a passive mentor from him and his streams and all that. And then eventually, Hex launched, and then I didn't actually start being talking to community, engaging the community until 2022, I think. And that's when I went to a local meetup, and someone even there was like, "Oh, are you a streamer?" It's like, "Oh no, I don't know if I want to do streaming or not." And then not too long after that, created a YouTube channel, created Twitter, and started engaging more there as well. And then did the first stream, I want to say May. I think we're coming up on the 3-year anniversary, I think, of rhmax.tv. That's the short link to sub as well. And yeah, I think May 2022 is when I first started. Did my first streams. Shout out to Crypto Kindness. He was very kind to give me some tips and help me figure out the whole streaming world. And from there, just got, just really put my passion, my time, my energy into promoting, the core products mostly. I still like a few community projects as well. And of course, I have community streams and have people on to talk about what they're building and otherwise. But yeah, kind of my introduction to crypto was luckily enough, I found Richard as one of the few people that I liked and listened to most in the space, and got me involved in the community and the products from there. And yeah, just a lot of the sound principles: decentralization, not your keys, not your coins, sovereignty, financial freedom. All that really helped me come up with a framework of how I want to operate. A very unique brand. You could say I don't monetize the channel or anything like that, and I'm interested in tech and have a background in security and all that stuff too. So wherever I feel like I can make a contribution, which is GoRealDeFi.com. There's Pulse Chain Faucet. There's the validator scripts, which I kind of again like to intellectually challenge myself to dig into and provide value to the community on that. Wherever I feel like I can make a contribution to whether it's content or code or otherwise, I like to get into. So from that, AI became another great interest of mine, and like I said, something we have in common. So yeah, that was kind of my welcome to crypto, welcome to tech, here for the price performance and the technology, and here we are today.
Fantastic, man. So cool. Let me pull up some of the sites here that you've got rocking. Particularly, I'm going to pull up Go Real DeFi just to show the people here. As I know I had posted some while back and tagged a few folks on Twitter too, with respect to, hey, I'm looking to take somebody from kind of like a zero to onboard type situation, and your content had come up actually as a recommendation for just kind of point them in this direction. So in this case, you got GoRealDeFi.com here, and you can see, hey, Max has set up some really nice, simple UI elements to get people moving in the correct direction. Plenty of information on things like security, staking, Hex, Pulse, PulseX, and the like. And in this case, you got all sorts of links and redirects to the IPFS app. So nice work, man. It's certainly super useful to streamline aspects of onboarding. I appreciate the effort that went into this. Also, too, I know, Richard's like, I don't work for you. I'm just kind of giving you the playground to operate in, and you definitely have grabbed the bull by the horns and ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest thing since the IPFS, everything got decentralized, which is, I've talked about this so many times. It's really good, in the way for decentralization and all that, but also definitely makes it harder. I think a lot of people share the sentiment, makes it harder for new onboards to figure out what's going on and how to navigate the ecosystem and what's this long, crazy link that I'm not used to. So yeah, this is just a place where if the idea first came up for, okay, let's I'm a tech guy, I can make this easier for people. Like, let me figure out how to do that in a safe way, in a very seamless, frictionless way. And then from there it became, okay, like I know a lot of resources in the community. I know like where, how do you buy Hex? How do you buy Pulse Chain? There's a ton of great community resources and pieces and stuff there too. And I got a lot of playlists that have security and privacy and, all kind of, stuff, vintage RH clips and stuff too. So that kind of birthed the navigation profile on the side there you see too. The first one at the top, AI, by the way. And that's where I put the training and stuff I did before. But yeah, just really just found a place like I want to be able to both the community, like I use the site. This is the site I use to navigate the ecosystem a lot, especially if I'm going to, PulseX or Explore and stuff like that, the bridge and all that stuff too. So having a place that I want to use and then the community can use if they want, and you can send people for onboarding. I think that's one of the contributions that I hope has a really positive impact on the ecosystem. And again, I like to use it. So if nothing else, it's for me.
Yeah, I find myself doing that for assorted things. I know we were talking a little bit pre-stream, some of the indicators I've built, some of which I've used AI to assist with, let's say, speeding up the development of some of these indicators and the like. A lot of times it's interesting. It's like, man, this would be so much better if, okay, everything after the if, how about, can I go solve that relatively directly myself? And then I have solve the problem and come up with a tool that is basically to my specifications and my liking, and I'm able to wield that pretty impactfully and effectively. So the other one I wanted to quickly highlight as well, and then we'll get down to today's nuts and bolts of today's topic, is you can go to rhmax.tv. That'll bring you over to Max's YouTube channel. You can see he's got a bunch of playlists here to make your lives more convenient, one of them being the AI and crypto particular one over here, and then information too about security, onboarding, fundamentals, rinse, repeat, privacy is a big one. I know we spoke a fair bit about that at the conference as well. So rhmax.tv, his links are all in the show notes. Go give him a follow on Twitter and anything you want to talk about as far as some of your playlist content. You definitely got a great job of curating it all.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. I think it's one of those things that I like to curate content. I like to put it together, create stuff as well. But it's a lot of great community content, and like I said, I've tried to put that in a lot of different playlists. Onboarding one is new for 2025. I'll just call that one out if nothing else. That's hopefully really good to get people in. At least I don't know. There's some stuff on how to do Binance and stuff too, but most of it is how to use the bridge and how to use all the decentralized products to get money in and out of the ecosystem, staking and LP and all that stuff too. But yeah, if you want to binge Pulse Chain content over the past few years, some stuff, I add to different playlists, especially the interview playlist. Of course, there's like 500 different. I think I did 500 different interviews or streams across my channel and other people's channel as well. I've been that I was on too. So. Ton of content, ton of vintage RH stuff, everything you want to find. I've tried to put at least that look interesting to me on these different ones. So yeah, if you scroll down just a little bit, you can see interviews. Hey, what are we up to?
584 episodes.
I think I would say 90% or more were on my channel. I don't know. I don't have exact numbers. I kind of just, when I upload from other people's channel, I just tag them as interviews too. But yeah, it is amazing when I look back. I'm like, remember when we hit 300? I'm like, wow, the streams, they all blur together these days, but there's been quite a few pretty fun ones. So content creation is something I've been focused on lately.
Yeah, and now for folks who don't stream, and I know there are definitely folks in space who stream far more regularly than I, there's definitely some elbow grease that goes into it behind the scenes, right? Like camera, lighting, like, okay, what kind of colors, themes, what do I want to talk about? And I understand some portion of it is an organic process. And then it's like, okay, scheduling, logistics, notes, there's a decent amount that goes into it. So, again, thanks for hopping on the channel. Let's, without further ado, start kind of ripping through some of today's key topics, which is to say, I know we're talking a fair bit about AI and different AI-related tools. And so my question to you to start for the audience would be, in your mind, how do you conceive of artificial intelligence, or what is AI to you? I think it's, what's like the Supreme Court, what they said about porn, like you'll know it when you see it type situation. But for you and, kind of your own words, so how do you conceive of AI?
Yeah, I think, there's the whole technical side of like neural networks and models and like all these pieces that come together when and there's RAG and like all kinds of new stuff coming out to help aid and make AI more efficient in different ways. But I think, for most people out there, just to understand, like when you talk about AI, it's mostly about like there's, this picture, there's this information that's been gathered in some way. Maybe it's the entire internet. Maybe it's just an entire topic of some sort. And it's being used to basically answer questions and figure stuff out. And whether it's facial recognition, whether it's it's ChatGPT answering a question based on the knowledge base it has, or if it's like you're using Perplexity, maybe they may be deploying a thing where it's searching the web and correlating answers with different models. It's just a way of basically answering questions, whether programmatically, whether it's doing some kind of detection or trying to figure out a problem. In the computer domain in one way or another, computer vision or so on, or if it's trying to just answer a question from a human interface where you're just asking it, you're prompting it to do something for you, or an agent wise, literally do something for you, like answering a question, or do something for you, like go do something, like go figure out my next vacation, go like book a rental car for me, like that. I think a lot of that stuff we're still in early stages for, but it's an obvious advancement in the space as well. So AI is kind of it's like asking, what is security? AI is like all these different verticals that kind of, enable people to get stuff done, or computers to work with other computers to get stuff done in a way that's based off of a knowledge base of some sort gathered from a data source, which a bunch of different words put together. But we'll be definitely demonstrating a few of those today.
Yeah, I think as we get into some of these different tools and things we use, I think it'll help solidify some of the ideas. I can tell you, I used AI to help set up today's stream. It wasn't full on, like emissary agent, hey, go build my stream for 145 with Max. No, did I use certain things like image generation and prompt generation just to kind of play with some ideas? Absolutely. So real quick detour is one of my favorite tools these days is Grok. And I like to, is Grok a verb? Is both a verb and a noun these days? I don't know. I'm going to Grok it or ask Grok. I guess it's kind of both.
There's actually two different companies too. It's confusing because I don't know if do you watch the All In podcast?
I do not.
Okay. So there's a Chamath Palihapitiya. I think he's a investor in a company, an AI company called Grok with a Q at the end of it, I believe. And they do inference. They do like different like types of like AI APIs and stuff like that. So when you say Grok, I think of the Grok, the kind of like the API, the inference company. And there's also the X Grok with a K at the end, it's GROK, which is basically like GPT for X type of deal.
Yes. And so that's the one I'm primarily referring to, Elon. And I think that was actually part of a big, aside from Elon's free speech concerns and wanting to get to Mars, and I'm of the opinion, anything that gets in the way of Elon's objective to get to Mars, it doesn't matter. Like, he's just going to run you over some way. He might be a little more polite about it than others, but he's going to find a way to run you over. I believe a big part of the reason he wanted to buy Twitter was the access to the data, everyone's post history, all the links they had done, because he has previously voiced concerns about the way AI is developing. So I personally believe that was I'm not saying it's the entirety of his decision, but a significant portion of it. Hey, I want to get my hands around it to control some aspect of this to my liking. And so fast forward with Tesla, and Tesla is not just a car company, it's a technology company, right? Power storage and robots and all these different offshoots that Elon has. I'm speculating Elon is highly interested in sending some of his AI-powered robots on some of his different spaceships to Mars to sort of pre-establish infrastructure for future colonization without risking human life. That's personal opinion at this stage. Any early thoughts on that one?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, it seemed like a win-win buying Twitter because, first, I think it was the free speech, kind of the duty to, the Western world, trying to like turn it around if you believe that was a good idea or not. And then, definitely access to the data. He's been heavily involved in AI and, all kinds of his businesses, obviously, like all the tech businesses before and going forward rely on advances in that, from Teslas to SpaceX and everything else. AI is only going to improve the tech in that space when you're trying to do things that big. And then, I don't know, like, does having a big stake in AI make going to Mars slower? It probably speeds it up if you're able to like get a bunch of advances in that area. So there's definitely a bunch of win-wins for making a purchase like that and turn the company around and refocusing it and its talent and its mission into the platform for free speech, the platform for AI, and the control it gives you. Once they have like that crazy data center where that they use for Grok. That's I forget like all the stats, but it's just like it's a no-brainer for AI for Elon to go into the AI space because there's so many advantages you get from having such a big foothold that he's taken and now made even bigger foothold as well.
Yeah, this certainly gives him a lot of firepower under his banner. So, okay, I'm going to do a quick couple of screens on my side just to show people maybe some of the tools I use today in the setup, just to give some general ideas on how you could potentially use these tools for productivity enhancement or functionality enhancement, or like in your own personal lives, professional lives, and like. So let me start off with this one. So for those who came in through YouTube, you saw the YouTube thumbnail where I had a Pepe tinkering with some things. And what I actually did was, and there's all sorts of different types of generators that you can potentially use for these types of things. I used a freebie one. So if you got like a Google account or like you can log in, and I said Pepe the Frog controlling an AI puppet, and it actually gave me a few different flavors of some things. And so it gave me basically 4 outputs on this. But in this case, this is the one I ended up running with. I figured, hey, that's kind of in the vibe of something I was looking for on this one. You can go over here. It's ideagram.ai. It's a freebie one to use. Of course, if you use a paid service, you'll be able to get more rapid fire generation and or a higher volume of generation, basically more requests over the span of time. But here's a real simple case. Like, you can plug in and like rinse, repeat, and figure out, hey, I don't like this one, rerun it, to you can select different types of characteristics that I want it to be realistic, more 3D anime style, using different image generation models, different dimensions, depending on how I'm going to ultimately display that. And so a lot of times when I'm getting ready to do a thumbnail, or I'm just looking for some idea to tag to something, I'll hop on a few different image generators and I'll give several different generators the same prompt, and I'll just basically curate and pick the one I like on that one. For other ones, I know for some of the folks who are in Citadel chats or DRT chats and the like with me on Telegram, one of the other ones I'll often hop over to for the hell of it would be something like the Glyph Alpha app on this one, and I can run some different prompts on this. So I'll say like Pepe controlling AI, and I'm going to run that. It's going to take about 27 seconds. We'll let that run in the background. But in this case, similar idea, freebie tools. There are a high number of freebie tools out there that you can ultimately use to generate some of these different images and the like on there. Also different research tools for different types of topics. And so I will go around and sometimes just play around with this and come up with some different memes and just see what it spits out. And to me, it's interesting to see how this stuff will ultimately take the prompt and run with it. And sometimes just a tweak of the verb or a tweak of a noun or slightly different syntax might generate some different imagery or different text responses. Or like one of the things I have gotten better at in terms of dealing with these tools is getting better at giving it the prompt that in a way that it really understands, or getting better at asking the appropriate question on these types of tools. So Max, what's been your experience working with some of these tools and trying to prompt for different inputs and say, hey, give me this thing? And you're like, how has it maybe altered how you ask it a question?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't used the Pepe meme generator before, but definitely I've used. I would spend so much time looking, like Googling, or maybe it's just at ask any prompting framework these days, Grok or otherwise, especially if it searches the web. How do I what are the image generation pieces? And some of them run on different platforms, and some of them are just like, hey, let's you have certain credits to do stuff with, and some of them you just literally give them like, hey, blah blah blah, like 5 words, and it'll do something. And some of them may need like, oh, do it this gradient or more details or less. But yeah, there's a ton of places. I know a lot of people have heard use Midjourney before. I think I mentioned the other day, whether it was on Airstream or another one, using the YouTube actually has it built in on your YouTube Studio, where if you just go to Inspiration tab and you can create whatever thumbnails you want there, and just be able to be like, okay, let me, literally hexagonal bull going to the moon, and it'll start creating images. It'll create like 5 at a time in a few seconds to do stuff like that. So yeah, definitely a year or so ago when I first started deep diving into AI, they didn't have a ton of these were either early or they just weren't very good at it. And it was kind of like, especially in the first GPT days, it was like, yeah, they had these different GPTs in the library that you could use that do thumbnail generation, but they're all had these colors, and they would put words weird, and they never could spell anything, which I think is still a problem to this day. Funny enough, like you just can't get an image to spell stuff correctly. And I can't even be like all caps, do not spell anything, do not put words in this. It'll just ignore it half the time anyways. But the tools definitely have gotten better, and it's all about compute, whether you pay for it or not. Some of them are free services. Some of them, like you have to pay for, or after a free trial or otherwise, to use. But if you tell it to generate, it's a really good thing for creators. If you need thumbnails, boy, there's a lot of places to get good thumbnails. Like you don't have to, when I first started streaming Canva, I used Canva for everything. Now I barely use Canva. I used to use it for everything. I even created the first intro to the channel with Canva. Like you can do videos in Canva. Most people probably never used it for that, but I used to go there and just search stock images and do all the words and all that stuff. Now it's mostly like generate bull with moon. Give me an exploding lock for a security one. Give me a crashing furious bull when the price is down, like whatever it is. It makes it so much easier and seamless and frictionless, and just it's much cheaper to get really good images these days. And AI has just changed the game on that.
Yeah, for sure. So in this case, in the background, you can see this is what it initially spit out, and you can sit there and say, okay, the language looks a little wonky on it. You can kind of get some aspects of it, like YEO, CEO, what is that supposed to be? I think there's some questions here in the background, some loose gibberish, but prompting
I'm
Pepe.
just going to say this Pepe language. I'm going to be like, you know what? We can this one away. That's just Pepe talking.
So like what would be interesting to me is if, I fed this into another AI tool or LLM, would it be able to unravel it? Like, is this something that doesn't make sense to us as, English speaking humans, but it makes sense to another machine? There's a whole other related question, but you can see here in this case how some of these
hallucination.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. So one of the things interesting interesting to me about this is, in this case, they're somewhat transparent about how they are handling this. So you're using Claude, which is another service provider and tool to write the meme, and then you're using, in this case, Pepe, Flux, Laura to draw it, which is likely some additional layer on, I don't know if Laura is an image generation tool or the stable diffusion type tool. They're using a handful of tools in combination to ultimately spit this meme out. So, all right. So that's a couple of examples of something you can maybe use for content creation, image generation, playing around, putting memes, creating memes to throw up on Twitter or Telegram. For something a little more serious, Max, you got maybe a couple tool handfuls, something you want to pull up on your sides for some of your daily drivers or go-tos?
Yeah, I mean, I actually can I can show you I'm using AI to dispel narratives around AI tokens. We kind of hit on that a little bit in the beginning.
Yeah. So for those of us maybe not as familiar with like AI tokens and AI, crypto AI, blockchain, what are you referring to in this context?
Yeah, so the question that I was thinking about when I first started doing the deep dive again a year or so ago, I did the whole week training, weekly, everyday streams, talking about AI, how to use it in different ways. A lot of stuff we're talking about today as well. And I kept asking the question. I was like, I keep hearing AI related to crypto. What does that mean? Like, is there actually like in a smart contract, to deploy smart contracts to the blockchain? You can do that, and with blockchain networks, with EVMs and stuff, you can write a smart contract, deploy it, and interact with it on chain. So what is AI? What is the AI token? Like, does that mean it's just a token that can be used for AI stuff, or is it a token that inherently has AI capabilities in some way? And it at least it felt like at the time, and maybe now too, it feels like when somebody says, "Oh, it's AI token," or otherwise, it's like, does it have AI built in? Like, what does it do that's AI? So anyways, I kept asking the question, and I'm someone who, if I hear something like that, I really want to understand, like, what does that actually mean? Is that true or not? Like, can smart contracts do AI stuff? So even back then, I kind of answered the question of, okay, it's basically no. Maybe there will be in the future, but there isn't a blockchain that, like, you can't just do AI. You can't like have a model on the blockchain and let it do stuff. Again, correct chat if you know something does it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anything that does that. So there aren't these AI capabilities built in to tokens. It's more of there's a token that allows you to access some kind of AI thing, just like oracles, for example. And I'll talk about the answer that AI gave me on this as well. But just like oracles that are off-chain stuff, there are ways to, just like any other service, talk to outside off-chain things using blockchains, but that's not an on-chain thing. So just the whole the muddling of like AI, like, oh, that sounds really cool, but really, at least at this point, there isn't like this native AI capabilities within the blockchain. So here I even asked, like, can you use AI in Ethereum smart contract, or does any blockchain have native AI capabilities? And the first answer is no, not directly. Smart contracts on Ethereum are deterministic, resource constrained, sandbox environments. So they can't access APIs, can't perform computation like running a large ML model. You just think of AI model, cause of gas limits. All those things were kind of like obvious to me, having a tech background too. I was like, yeah, that doesn't make sense to have AI on a network like a blockchain. But with this one, how can you integrate AI with blockchain? You can use AI off chain and then connect it to your smart contracts. So just like you have oracles, you have Chainlink, you have all kinds of different things like that. You can run an AI model off chain or any like LLM or any other inference method and all that, and then feed the data back to the on chain to the smart contract to do stuff. So a couple of example use cases: AI predicts a loan default risk. Oracle sends it to DeFi protocol. You can think of price feeds, all this other stuff that are commonly used for it. And then AI generated NFT metadata. So this is like, there's different cases for that to be, you can write metadata and stuff on chain, but again, like, what is the cost of doing all this stuff on chain versus off chain? A lot of the different like AI capabilities are just too big and intensive otherwise to even do on chain. And then this one, hybrid smart contracts. So this, Chainlink term, contract logic is split. Some runs on chain and some external services where AI can do the off chain stuff. And then, it says useful for AI power prediction markets, dynamic entities, all that stuff. However, it says there are blockchains with native AI capabilities. They're trying to do it in some way, and these are things I haven't researched yet, but I've heard. I mean, I think a lot of people have probably heard of Fetch AI. BitTensor is another one. It's pretty popular. I remember when Numerai wasn't that like a scientific data analysis thing, like in like 2017, 2018. Maybe they pivoted to like ML stuff, which makes sense because scientists. But I think there are networks that are trying to do more native AI stuff. But as of today, if you hear AI token, it isn't some like, oh, this token is like doing AI stuff. It's more of there may be a platform that you need the token. It may be an AI platform that then you use a token to access, just like you talked about earlier, like gating it with a token, or maybe it's again like a future investment for a platform they're going to build the promises thing as well. And one other thing on this that I asked as well, is there any blockchain where AI can natively integrate with smart contracts or running on the blockchain? And again, the short answer is no, not the way people imagine it. A few blockchains are trying to integrate AI in their infrastructure, each with a different take. And it talks about the reasons why. So like AI models, heavy computation, non-determinism, AI can give different results basically. And then, bandwidth storage for models. Some models are really big. It could be gigabytes of data, all that stuff too. So basically, when you think of AI tokens, the idea here is that as far as Ethereum and Solana and stuff go, and all the popular chains, it's not about like no general purpose blockchain can run full AI models natively on chain. There's just different ones that are kind of experimental or up and coming or otherwise that may or may not have ways to try to bridge some of the gap. But yeah, when you hear AI token, it's not what it may sound like to you.
Yeah, many times it's just like the .ai, like we were talking about earlier, added onto it. And I know there are, let's say, interestingly enough, you're using what we would call an AI tool to tell us about AI on chain and AI on crypto. I know there are projects attempting to have different aspects of integration. I think what we're going to see is crypto will ultimately be the currency of AI to conduct certain transactions on our behalf, because I generally, I can't give an agent a bank account at this point in time, but I can give it a crypto wallet and have it integrate and pay out to that or commission that or pay different fees. I think one of the things we'll see for the blockchain space would be, and I know multiple teams are working on this, is going to be the AI agent, which will clean up and really act as my emissary or proxy. So, hey, you don't have to know how to bridge to Pulse Chain. You don't have to know how, hey, I bought some Bitcoin, it's sitting on Coinbase, but I want to get into this Richard Hart stuff. How do I do that? Well, it'll end up happening at some point in time. Shout out to my man BLX rolling through chat. He and I talked about this some months back. It's going to be an agent which is able to conduct a lot of those operations on your behalf. So it is coming. It may not be here yet. I know multiple teams are working on that. Awesome. So that in this case, you're using ChatGPT on that one. It sounds like you had another comment or on that. So fire away.
Yeah, I was going to say, just to give people, again, if you're like, what would I use AI for? How does it help me? How does it give me an edge? I mean, there's a huge conversation on that, a lot of different verticals. However, one thing I would just, the simplest example, one of the simple examples you could show somebody is try to Google something. How do I buy Pulse Chain? And Google it. Okay. So the first link, you got pulsechain.com/buy. You got video, you got coffee over there. Of course, he's dominating on the video feed of probably based on views and relevancy and everything else. You can kind of go to people, people also ask you this, you can get drop downs. Coinbase, of course you can't, hopefully Coinbase will list Pulse Chain one day. Shout out to Coinbase. You can find the Reddit threads. You're scrolling, right? What I do, which link do I click on? Do I click on the top 5? Do I go to the next page? There isn't an answer. There's just a list of links. However, you go to, we could ask GPT. Let's just ask Perplexity, because I think it's one of the ones that I think people have been replacing Google with so far, because not only is it connected to an AI model, it can also search the web, and it uses techniques like you can look up RAG, R-A-G, and different ways to correlate data and use AI and real-time search results at the same time. So it does a pretty good job. Ask it the same question, how do I buy Pulse Chain? Let's see how the answer differs. So not only does it give you links, it gives you a step-by-step guide of how to buy Pulse Chain. 1, set up crypto wallet. 2, acquire Ethereum. 3, bridge Ethereum to Pulse Chain. 4, swap E for PLS. Alternate methods. It talks about platforms who may support Pulse Chain. It talks about fiat to crypto transfers. bridging different stablecoins to bridge instead of ETH, and how to get reduced slippage, pieces like that. It gives you like by default, it gives you links here as well. It gives you references to each one. You click on the videos tab, it'll give you video, again, coffee dominating as usual. It gives you videos for all the pieces too. It gives you a list of the sources that you would have got. Basically, you would have got from Google here. Pretty similar list of ones. However, it gives you them as a secondary source, and it gives you the answer first. So if you like answers first and you like references, there's different AI tools that can like really show you the difference between what does this do for me? I prefer this answer. I don't know about you, Twinkie, but I like this answer a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it's helping bridge the gap between coming up. I remember, dial-up modems and things of that variety. And, fast forward, there may be some folks in the audience who have never had that experience. We've gotten to a point where through the internet, we're going from data to information to application. And I find in this case, Perplexity and some other tools help bridge that gap and get you a little closer to information or application right out the gate versus needing to sift through the data and then figure out, hey, how do I turn this into something actionable? So that's one of the major advantages I find in using some of these tools. What's been your experience with that?
I mean, that's one of the key things is like actionable results. I know a lot of people do research differently, or maybe they're just not very good at it. Maybe they just Google is like, oh, I Google something and then I go click on the first link, which, by the way, try not to do that, especially when it's money involved, and never Google for the bridge link. We said that 10,000 times, but yeah, fun enough, Go Real DeFi. I was talking to a security guy about Go Real DeFi the other day, and something I didn't even realize was, we have all these people clicking on, Googling for the bridge link and all that stuff too. If you have a source, a website, like whatever it is, whether it's the official website or I like GRD, that has the link to these things, you don't need to Google anymore. You can just bookmark that site. So whether you bookmark the official site or not, just don't Google. But like, that's another, actually helping people avoid phishing was like another advantage to using, different sites like this too. But anyways, yeah, it's one of those, like, I like an answer. I want an answer, and references are good too. But I really, when I'm trying to, when I'm asking questions, I want answers. I think we've just been trained because of the lack of AI over the last few years to ask a question and then go do research. But AI really changes that. And instead of it removes that second step, we can actually get an answer. Again, hopefully your AI that you're talking to is not woke, or unless that's the kind of answer you want, then that's fine. But like, I like objectivity. I like objective answers to give me information, and then I'll decide whether I believe it or want to do something else with it or have a follow-up or not. So it really just removes like a whole big piece of the puzzle for figuring stuff out by giving you an answer instead of a list of links. So if that hasn't sunk in yet for people who are new to this, it's like, at least for me, I do a lot of research, I create a lot of content. It's a game changer because it gives me the answer instead of making me do all the work that it can just like do for me. And you can iterate too. For example, in this one, it even has related questions. So this is something when I'm creating content too, that's very helpful actually. Like, how do I buy Pulse Chain? If I want to do a video on buying Pulse Chain and I ask this question, it's really cool because it could be like, all right, what are the best wallets? Okay, during that content. So let's say you're trying to create a post on X where you want to go through how do I buy Pulse Chain, for example. These are questions people are interested in knowing, right? If they're asking about how to buy Pulse Chain, they probably want to know what kind of wallet to use. They probably want to know how to use the bridge. They may also want to know about the fees. They may also want to see, can they use it with Google Pay or Apple Pay? And how to swap using PulseX. All these related questions. It's like this compounding effect of like asking one question can help you, that maybe you're going to focus your content on that. Now you just made this super thorough, concise, thread of how to figure something out because AI gives you these tools to do stuff like that. So it's very underrated, and like very much like once you keep pulling on the going down the rabbit hole, you can really find a way to be super productive using these tools.
Okay, so instead of going down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, right? And I have my own personal opinions about Wikipedia and moderation and editing and potential purging of certain truths. But I'd be lying if I Told you I've never sat there at 3 a.m. sitting there with my phone, Wikipedia, and read this link and then click this link and then click this link and going down the rabbit holes. So in this case, it sounds like you potentially are using Perplexity and other tools where you get your initial first kind of research point or topic asked, so to speak, and then you're following down some of those subsequent rabbit holes to figure out where else it leads you or potentially generate some additional ideas.
Yeah, I mean, it literally turns an hour or two of research into, I can do a 10-minute post now. I can do, if I want to talk about how to buy Pulse Chain, or I want to talk about wallets, or I want to talk about some nuanced, thing in our community, I can fact check myself. I can okay, I literally, sometimes I'll be going to make a post and I'll think, am I again, a lot of people, if you post information, I imagine you want to be accurate. You don't want to get ratioed when somebody posts oh no, that's not right, or here's this other angle you didn't think of, you should have totally thought of. I really like to be right a lot. So another thing I use AI for is when I'm posting, if I post something that I'm okay, I think this is right, I think this is meaningful, this is valuable, but I'm not quite sure. Copy and paste it into your GPT or Perplexity or whatever tool you got and say, does this sound right? What are the other angles? What am I missing? What does this make sense within this context? You don't just have to, I know a lot of people are using it to read posts these days and be oh, what does Richard mean by this thing? For example, with his posts or otherwise, but you can proofread your own stuff and be how can I say this better? And then there may be some angle that you didn't think about. It's oh man, that's really good too. That's really this will make the post even better and help more people. And and there you go. You're just using tools at your disposal. So not just for reading posts to understand, but even a writing post, it's very underrated for if you care about producing very valuable content.
Very cool. Very cool. So also too, I'm going to highlight a couple things I'm noticing as you're displaying this. So first and foremost, if anyone's interested in playing around with this, in this case, we're eyeballing Perplexity. It's perplexity.ai. You'll notice Max is not signed up or logged into this account. So in this particular case, looks like the certain tools continue to be available for free for you if you want to go and check it out, poke around and see what kind of feedback or responses you get back from some of these different tools.
Yeah, if you sign in, it would be just every other AI service. You'll have your different threads and the different posts you made, and you can do temporary posts and you can do private posts and you can share things. There's a really cool link. You can copy this link and send it to someone, and they can look up what you were looking up to, which is really nice. The other thing I would say, I'll just this thread. I don't think I can post, but I'll put it in the private. You can share it if you like.
Yeah.
This is the master thread of. A year or so ago when I did the whole class, afterwards, again, I went down for months at a time, or weeks or months, I can't remember, but I went through and all the different examples of how to use different stuff. I would post it, and then I'd also tag it in this thread. So that way I could capture this huge thread of all the different stuff I was working on and different content creation techniques and stuff using AI. And I was using some of the different early agent stuff, like Agent GPT. I think they're probably still around too. They're pretty cool to do research, how to create a custom GPT. So literally step-by-step how to do it here with screenshots. There's how to create promo videos. So literally if you go to the Bead Studio GPT from the ChatGPT marketplace, you can here's how to literally create a video of an AI person with a script talking about it. And I think it was for free too. A lot of this stuff is you can literally do it for free. I mean, once you have the subscription, you get access to a lot of GPTs that are for free. Some of them are paid, but this is a video created, narrated. I don't have sound on this, but by AI. And I just edited the script a little bit and boom, you're creating content like that. So yeah, feel free. Anyone who wants to browse through and look at the different ones, but I just basically hex promo videos, how to use if you don't have ChatGPT on your phone or any whatever your favorite AI tools, it could be Grok, it could be GPT, it could be Perplexity, Claude, whatever. If you don't have it on your phone, for me, it's a game changer. You go take a picture of something broken, be how do I fix it, or how to replace it, or
what is this?
Yeah, what is this? Yeah, exactly. You're walking through the forest. What is this? It's such a there's this obvious value to it that I think is kind of escapes people sometimes. So anyways, there's 50 different posts on how to make a website in 5 minutes. Literally, you can make your own Pulse Chain website, no coding. This is way before any of the no code stuff or the vibe coding and all that, became super popular too. But like literally make a website promoting pulse chain with hexagons everywhere based on the following data. I just copy and pasted from the pulse chain website, I think, on this one. And then it created a website that talks about it, continuepulsechain.com. Tons and tons of possibilities.
So I think it's a fantastic set of tools for the individual content creators, solopreneurs, and the like. I suspect, certainly, Max, I'd like to see it in our lifetime. Hopefully, it's you, me, somebody we know type situation. It'll be some sort of like the $1 trillion solopreneur using AI tools, right? Like it's coming. Your guess is as good as mine as when it's going to arrive, but I look at this and sit there and say it's inevitably coming. What are your early thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think, man, I think in general, a lot of the entry level jobs are going to be automated away, which sucks for the younger generation and people coming out of college. Like, there's going to be a lot of, what does university mean? Will there be like, it will be as popular? There's all kinds of like different macro events and different institution things that I think will change. What is cheating? What is, did we ever need to like memorize all this stuff in the beginning, or can we just, get the fundamentals down pat and then like use references, use our tools, use our calculators, right? What's the difference between AI and a calculator? Like, we don't do like long division by hand anymore. It's like all these things we've been measuring for a long time, memorization and like these knowledge in very, very primitive ways. But I think in the information age, like 2.0, within the AI age, I think it's really going to be like, how creative are you? How good a judgment do you have? How well can you operate with these tools? How well can you like integrate with the tools and stuff too, to make yourself, the power of 10 people? Like, you literally think they'll be hiring software engineers, 1 or 2 people instead of a 10-person team. It's going to have a lot of downstream effects. I don't want to get into all the macro stuff for that. Be plenty of challenges too, but in that, being able to hone these things, especially early, and what you were talking about as well with, just being able to run an entire business, even based on like how good your AI tools are. Why wouldn't you be able to do that? Why isn't this the most empowering thing for entrepreneurs that ever came about outside of the internet? Like, why not, if you know how to use it?
And the way I look at this too, aside from it being the next step forward, is you mentioned the internet and like memorizing some of these formulas and I think a lot of that has to do with getting the foundational layer in place. We need to figure out how to harness electricity to fast forward us multiple generations to get to computers, to where we had databases, then we had distributed networks, and then now we're talking about AI tools, compute power, and like now we have these different LLMs or any other number of agents and the like that are being layered on top of it, where ultimately each successive thing is built on the prior foundational layer of the pyramid. In this case. So what's the usefulness of, some of those, let's say, different math and, equations and using calculators? Well, it depends, right? As long as the prior levels of that pyramid remain intact, you're good to go. If something happens where this gets wiped out, then, oh shit. But that looks, over time, less likely.
I gotta say, that's the thing we have to be careful with. Like, let's not make people dumber with AI. Like, that's totally a possible future. That's totally a possibility, but there's things I think there's a way we can do it to empower people. And of course, just like everything else, right? People are going to abuse it. They're going to be like, I don't need to learn anything. I can just be dumb. And if I have a phone in my pocket, I can answer any question you have. That's going to happen. But again, that's a side effect that, if we empower so many other people to be extremely productive, with every tool that ever exists, the internet included. Like, there's plenty of people that sit at home all day and watch YouTube videos or do anything else that's not productive, and instead of have a job. Are we going to get rid of the internet? It's like, it's not the internet's fault. Like, how many things has the internet improved because of that? But there are those risks, and hopefully we can mitigate those. And I don't know how, but that's I don't want to make people dumber with AI, but hopefully we'll find a way around that.
Yeah, I think there's a cultural element of that, and certainly an incentivized human behavior element of it. And so to me, a lot of this goes back to, I think we were talking about it on your channel. I remember like Garmin GPSs and I started seeing, hey, people are driving off the road but I was like, oh, the people are very clearly outsourcing aspects of their decision-making to the machine and just kind of mentally checking out. And so that is definitely something I'm watching in the background with respect to, potential scenarios where people are like, oh, the machine has told me this is the truth, so I inherently and automatically believe it to be true. Like, I think the critical thought still needs to remain somewhat in place on these. So your thoughts on that? I
mean, that's the key thing. I think creativity, judgment, and critical thinking if those can be the foundation of every human, if we can start with a strong foundation of the basics, basic skills, creativity, judgment, and shoot, what was the other one? You just said it.
Critical thinking, creativity. Yep.
Yeah. Like those foundations. And then, like what else do you need to do? I feel like there's so much, a lot of pushback against, memorization. I don't know. I don't get it. It's like, to me, it's a party trick. Like if you know something well enough, it's going to come to you naturally in a lot of ways anyways. And if I don't know. I just prefer not to stuff my brain with things that I'm just going to impress people with on the fly when I can just look it up anytime I need it too. And there's different, like there's nuance and there's facts. So, I think a lot of nuance you learn over time, and a lot of facts can just be there when you need them. So I don't know. There's a lot of high IQ plays on this, and a lot of people who aren't going to take advantage of it. But I don't know. I think there's a base you can start with, and once you have that, then AI is going to be your edge instead of your handicap. And if you're not using it at all, it may turn out to be a handicap.
Yeah, I think what and we're already starting to see this in different areas. It's going to be those who embrace it and use it as a tool are going to progressively pull away from those who are not using it and embracing it. So I want to hit a pause button here on this one and acknowledge a bunch of folks in chat. So very much appreciate people showing up, tuning in, and listening to two random guys on the internet talk about AI and the like. So Funkmaster, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. Hexus, thanks for coming through. Jemmy, always good to see you. BLX, I wonder if there's a PDI topic today. For anyone who hasn't been following the Richard Hart ecosystem, PDI is basically imploded. I know people are making speculative plays on it. I think your safest bet was, remains, stick to the core Richard Hart tickers on that one. That's your safest bet. And then you're getting further out in the risk curve and speculating on those things. Max, I know you're very much in the Richard Hart ecosystem. Any quick comments about the whole PDI thing we've seen going on this week?
No comment.
Okay, fair enough. Moving on. Large, smash the like button and subscribe, share and leave a comment on the chat. Thanks, Large. Always appreciate the support. Please wield that wrench accordingly. Lunacy Point. Hey, gang. What's going on, Lunacy? Good to see you. Isolef. Hopefully I've played that or pronounced that correctly. Appreciate it. Moon Gang represent. Hell yeah. Farmer J, purple crayons are my favorite. I know this was in reference to some of the Pepe memes like we were showing. Hey, Farmer, thanks for the support, man. Very much appreciate it, brother. Looking forward to seeing you again in person at the next one. Moonpilled, hey, you made it. Good to see you, man. And my buddy Zenith over at DRT.
Shout out to Zenith.
Yeah. So, all right, let's start winding this down a little bit, and we'll get down to the home stretch on some of this stuff. So, Max, I know you and I had swapped a few Twitter messages this week on the back end talking about AGI versus ASI and some other things. I sent you some of my information I was eyeballing. So let me do a quick presentation on this one and just kind of talk to people so they can go see their own data sets on this for themselves. There's a whole aspect of trust but verify, and then a couple other quick things. So I know people may or may not be down with Kathy Wood and the ARK Invest team. I think her team is generally directionally, conceptually right. Their specific picks might leave something to be desired. I would say, much like other aspects of investing, being too early can be just as fatal as being too late. But I generally agree with a lot of their arguments. So in this case, I'm looking at the 2024 Big Ideas report, and anyone can go pull this. They just, enter some information and so what I want to do here is what I'm going to show you is an excerpt on AGI and some topics on this one. So in the Big Ideas report, you can hop over to this and eyeball this for yourself. In this case, they called out last year that AI is accelerating faster than forecasters had anticipated. So if you look at the overall forecast error pre-GPT, they were saying, hey, AGI in 50 plus years, GPT-3 was 80 years to 50 years once GPT-3 hit, chop sideways, 34 years, 18 years, 8 years. And if you look at the overall forecast, assuming they're correct, then it's pointing to 2030, but you can see the overall forecast error, we've been accelerating and improving far faster than they thought. pointing on trend towards AGI around 2026. So it's March 21st, 2025 for anyone tuning in the future. Max, early thoughts on this one here as far as like, the delta between the two and how those forecasts are looking over time.
Man, yeah, like the whole AGI is it, so there's ASI and AGI? Actually, not even sure what ASI stands for.
Artificial superintelligence and artificial general intelligence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I hear them, I hear a lot of crossover.
Is there a real differential between the two, right? Like if you're, let's say master's level on up in multiple disciplines, can it really be debated whether or not it's super intelligent? Like if you walk in tomorrow and you're like, oh, PS, I'm Max. I've got a PhD in nuclear physics, chemical engineering, computer science, medical science, rinse, repeat, like the list just goes on and on. You would sit there and go, all right, Max is a super ultra genius. Would we not afford the, like the same categorization to AI? Like how is there a real differential between the two, right? And okay, interesting debate. Shout out to Dr. Mike Israetel on that one. But any early thoughts on this delta and how things are shaping up?
Yeah, I think, and I'm like the most like bullish and positive, like optimistic person on AI in general going forward, especially in my group of tech. There's plenty of people skeptical, but I still have been holding myself back on the AGI or ASI or any of that happening soon. I'll caveat it with this. I would say, maybe it happens in 5, 10, 15 years, but the version that we imagine today, but maybe this is interesting. So if we do get something that can actually scale, can be that omnipotent, like know everything, literally like can answer any question, like the polymath of polymaths, like that kind of like godlike figure in a brain of a computer. And it can actually reason, it can actually think. It isn't just these, like today, all the reasoning, like all the thinking models, to me, they're not really thinking. They're just all these, different party tricks basically put on top of a model. I'm not saying it's, what is that? All the skeptics, they say fancy autocomplete or like whatever it is. It's definitely not that, but it's just not thinking. It's not what we as humans do. It's not mimicking that. It's just like, I know this information and I can put it together really well, which is magnificent and like totally like an amazing thing. But it isn't something that's going to, I don't think it's going to become a Skynet. It's not going to just like, okay, I thought of this thing and now I have these resources. First of all, it's not going to have access to all these, not anytime soon. Maybe I feel like there is this dystopian future where we're like, you know what? We did all the audits. This thing's been running fine for a decade now. Let's open it up to the internet. Like
connect it to 4chan, let it run wild.
Yeah. But like, in what world would it ever control our nuclear weapons? Somebody made the compelling case the other day. I'm like, that is totally right. Like, why the hell would we ever give it access? Why would that not be the most human thing possible? Like that we would want to keep the power. Humans love power, right? Like our president has access to the nuclear codes, all that. Why isn't that the system that why would we ever give that up? Like, at least not in, maybe our living history or otherwise. So I say all that to say that I think we'll see a lot of huge improvements in AI towards something that could resemble AGI or ASI. But I don't think we're actually going to I think it's either we're going to get there in a very dystopian way where someone just literally just screwed up so badly that it's just going to get the plug pulled on it and it's just going to like set us back for technology and advancements, or we're going to get it in a way that's very subtle and very safe and feels very much like, oh, this is kind of just a natural progression. And, we still have our hands on the nuclear football and stuff like that, and it's able to, create and do all these things in society, but it isn't this thing that can actually take over. Like we have made it in a way that we have not gave it full power, and it can never have full power because of these verifiable things. But it'll be very subtle. It'll be over time. And it's kind of like probably what Sam Altman and all of these key figures in AI space are thinking. I've heard him say so many times, like, gradual improvements, not shocking the world, but like over time, having these incremental changes that over time add up to be huge, the year 2020 for AI is going to be extremely different the year 2025 and 2030 and so on like that. But yeah, I just don't think we're going to get this. I don't think the newspaper is going to read ASI finally achieved and the world's going to change the next day. It's either going to be very gradual or very much a screw up that like is totally avoidable with all the smart people we have doing stuff right now.
Yeah, the genie got out of the bottle somehow, and maybe don't feed all the Terminator movies and System Shock games into the AI. Like, don't train the AI on the whole education of the AI was based on AI plots where it takes over and crushes humanity or different things like that. Probably not the best move ever.
Architect in a way where there is an off button. Like, it doesn't need to be. Let's not decentralize AI. How about that? I like decentralization, but let's not make it where it can go hide in any data center at once. Like, I think there's got to be a good off button. And I'm pretty sure, if not, the government doesn't mandate some of this stuff. Like, the companies themselves probably hopefully are working on a plan to contain anything that might go wrong with that. And it's going to involve shutting off the power probably, which is it's so basic. It might just work.
Yeah. Fingers crossed now. Cool. I want to leave the viewers with a couple of things that could just to kind of button this up with respect to the overall different tools and some of the options that can be done here. So let me just kind of quickly run people through this final sprint here. And then, so today was, let's say, part 1 of 2. We're going to have a follow-up over on Max's channel where we talk about things like different other elements of it. We're going to dive deeper into some of the other AI elements, and stay tuned for our future part 2 on this one. But let me present this one. So just to show some folks maybe some options that are a little more directly germane to the crypto space. So in this case, I've got the hex chart over here on this. And I know not everyone here is super into technical analysis. Some folks are like, hey, Richard Hart, ride or die. Some folks are let's say very coin agnostic. Some folks are just looking to make quick flips or the likes. So in this case, I'm on Dex Screener, and a few things I'm going to call out for this particular setup. So you can see I'm eyeballing Hex in Dex Screener. I've got the volume indicator turned on. I've got MACD turned on and RSI, and I'm on the daily interval on this one. So what I'm going to do is just grab a copy of this chart on here. I'm going to say copy image. So going back to what...
Are you sharing the screen or are you just talking?
Should be sharing. Let's see if
I don't see anything up there.
Stand by. Thanks for the call out, my man. Let me change my view on this one. Bam. Now with 100% more Dex Screener. So in this case, I'm on Dex Screener. Again, just to quickly fly through this, I've got volume turned on, MACD and RSI. I'm on the daily interval. So you can see, here's the overall chart. I'm going to grab a copy of this image and let me summon my bot in the background. And so what I'm doing here, let me flip my screen share over to my agent. And too many tabs in the modern world here. So let me go with this one here. Should see my Telegram. Perfect. And so I am working on, in this case, I'm going to use this Quantino bot, and I'll post some links up on Twitter for some of these different things. And I'm going to say, post in that chart with the information. So it's got volume information. It's got some momentum and price indicators on it as well. I'm saying, give me 3 entries and TP standing for take profit targets for this chart. So I'll dump it into Telegram, interacting with this bot, and it'll take a minute and it'll spit out some, hey, based on this particular chart and what it's seeing for visual patterns and the like, it'll sit there and say, give me some different entries and take profits on this one. Hopefully it didn't choke to death on this particular one. Here we go. Based on, now it misread the lettering on this, but it's saying entry 1 at this price, take a profit on this, recommending some position sizing and risk to reward. So size this at 0.5%, 0.75%, and 1%. Showing a potential bottoming pattern, 70% confidence on this setup. So for maybe folks who are interested in dipping their toes into aspects of TA, but they haven't gone through stuff like baby pips or some other courses or curriculum like offered through Charlie and Miguel and the like, then this might be an opportunity for you to spend some time querying the machine, so to speak, and figuring out how it might do technical analysis and get some different ideas on that front. In this case, this one's not token gated, but I would not necessarily inherently blindly follow it. And they also say, hey, position size accordingly. You're seeing it's under 1% position sizing, so you don't get yourself smoked if it's wrong or market conditions suddenly turn on you. So again, practical example of the way you can use some of these different tools to perhaps gain an edge on your competition or do some other things on that front. So Max, appreciate you hopping on today. Where can the people find you?
rhmax.tv. That will go to the channel and politely ask you if you'd like to subscribe. And Go Real DeFi. That's one of my favorite sites. Between Go Pulse and Go Real DeFi, that's my two favorite Pulse chain sites, I will say. Even though I'm partial, I know Go Pulse is it's a powerhouse for the ecosystem. That's where you find me. I'm on X. I have TikTok and Instagram, but I don't post on there much anymore. But also Facebook. I'm on Facebook as well. Go check out. I did join Facebook and followed a bunch of Hexagons and Pulsecons stuff on there recently and posted a little bit just to see. So I'm on Facebook technically. Most of my stuff is on YouTube. Have been streaming. No expectations or obligations, but I have been streaming a few times per week. And sometimes I get on a roll and just do it every day for a little bit, except the weekends. Been trying to take those off. And on X, have been, at least in the past, posting pretty frequently. So that's where you can get all the information or sharing things that I think are valuable for the ecosystem and positivity, information, and good spirited humor.
Yeah, so super appreciate you hopping on. All of Max's information, you can see the show notes here. I've got links to some of his different sites and social media and the like. I think next time we're going to talk about MCPs and the like over on your channel and some other different AI tangents and topics. So looking forward to that. Max, super appreciate having you on today. Thanks for talking about AI with us and some of your different experiences on that front. Yeah, man, there's not many people I find who want to like just generally talk about AI. I'm like, this is the future, man. So be a little plugged into it.
Nobody cares.
Yeah, not
they
yet.
We're early. We're very early. I'll say that. They will care, I think.
Yeah, like many other things.
I can't wait to have you on the channel to do round 2, man. It's a fun one. Thanks for
awesome. Super appreciate it. We'll do it again. All right. So for all the viewers, thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Rest of the weekend. Go buy some Richard Hart tickers. Stuff is on discount. And we will see you all soon. Thank you very much.